Jad here, welcome to the channel. Today we're going to look at a couple of races, FIA races in fact. Up first we have the manufacturers race. This is race number 2 of the day. Now, I just got back from Africa. I've been gone for over a month, so I'm not sure whether this has something to do with it. But I get in the qualify and I start doing my laps. Everyone else starts burning fuel, and I thought about it for a second, but then I just get too bored with that. So I thought I'll just race around with the fuel tank and some worn tyres and see what happens. So I race around for a couple of laps and I get a time of 1:59. Of course, everyone else is still fuel burning, so I sitting on pole position for quite a while there. Get to the end of the qualify and I'm still on pole. And I'm like, what? Now, as most of you would know, 1:59 is not a great time. So I start in pole, and basically from there I had a very boring, lonely race at the top. I should have looked at the leaderboard at the beginning. Well, I did. I just saw that I was on pole, but I didn't see who I was racing. So it turns out I was racing against mostly B and C grade players. So after realising this, I thought, okay, well maybe I'll get some good points and catch up with the other SS boys, because I missed out on the previous round, or the first round of the manufacturers. So I soldiered on and didn't come across anyone except I think I lapped 2 or 3 other cars. And it's funny, the mind tricks that your mind plays with you, because I was thinking, wouldn't it be funny if I binned it on the last lap, or the last corner of the last lap, like the easiest race ever? I'm going to bin it and probably come last or something. And then the more I kept thinking about it, the more I thought, oh, I'm going to bin it. I'm going to bin this. But no, we made the last corner silky smooth, very casual, and crossed the line for a victory. So I wait with bated breath to receive my victory prize of 1,000,000 points for getting the fastest lap, pole position, and a win, plus a clean race. I figure this is going to be great. 59 points. Oh, what a victory. Oh, that's so worth celebrating. Oh, I feel so good. Anyway, next race. So this is my very first Nations Cup race. Just a tad more difficult than the last race. Starting in 15th, and right behind me, I race a GT. Love that livery, mate. Looks awesome. I've gone with Ferrari, obviously. I really like this car. It's probably one of my favourites in GT Sport at the moment. Handles really well, looks awesome. So I've gone with the David Perel livery for this race. I was in the process of making my own livery, but it ended up taking me all day to do it. So I couldn't do it in time for this race, but the next time I race this car, I'll have my own livery. So as we come through the first corner, heading up to the death chicane, very cautious coming through here with new tyres and lots of cars surrounding you, so slowed down, went through nicely. A few people crashed as expected and got out unscathed. So a good start to the race. So I didn't practice as much for this race as I did the Manufacturers Cup. So I went in here just for a bit of fun, really. try it out, see what happens. I noticed after a few laps that my racing line was different to pretty much everybody else's. So on a lot of the corners I would accelerate out a lot faster and catch up to a lot of people. And so I have a theory here that the dirty air physics for this game make it more difficult for you to follow the standard racing line, or the best racing line that all these players have found. So me not doing those racing lines, I found myself catching up to a lot of people, mainly on the corners. So I would come out of the corner and catch up, and that was my way of staying in the top 10. Most of the corners I take quite wide, so I would come in wide and then cut into the apex and get on the accelerator a lot earlier. And I found that whenever there was someone behind me, they would always sort of cut in and get ahead of me into the corner, but I would come out of the corner and take over them again. Or if they were ahead of me, I would take the corner wide and then accelerate out early and keep catching up to them. So yeah, it's just a theory. It could be also this particular car. It might have some great acceleration that the other cars I've driven before don't, or it could be an accumulation of those things. But either way, I found it really enjoyable, and the reason I think it might be the dirty air is because generally I'm very sensitive to the dirty air, and I notice it quite dramatically in comparison to the free practice. As most of you know, with the free practice, it's kind of arcadish in the sense that there is no dirty air and there is no tyre wear, and it drives different to the actual qualify. So I avoid the free practice where I can. If I do jump in there, it's usually with the dual shock, and then I jump on the steering wheel, the G29, when I'm in a lobby practicing for this game or this race. I remember my very first manufacturer's race was Red Bull in the rain, and I'd practiced that for days. Just spent hours and hours doing hundreds and hundreds of laps in the rain and in the free practice, and I had the best time from all of my GT Sport friends. And so I came into the race thinking, I had a good chance, but as soon as we got into the qualify, with all the dirty air and the rain and the different car tyre compound, just amplified that difference again, and it felt like a completely different car that I was driving. So instead of spending the qualify trying to get the best time, I spent the qualify trying to learn the track again with this completely different car. Really frustrating, and still to this day the difference between the free practice and the actual qualify and race itself is too different for me. Some people it doesn't really bother them, but I find I'm at least 2 seconds off pace in the practice lobbies compared to the free practice. So hopefully one day they can sort of even that out, or just make it the same. I don't know why they do that. I even found the car view different between free practice and the actual race. If you jump into free practice and use the exact same car view, then jump out and go straight into a lobby with the same track, the angle of the car view changes. I don't know why. So here's an example of what I think might be the dirty air avoiding. Taking that corner wide, cutting in early and accelerating out earlier. I take over this Mercedes, which I think is one of the better cars for this track. Incident coming up here where I take the corner and apparently knock the Mercedes off the track and score myself 4 seconds penalty. Not sure whose fault that was. I was following a standard race line there, I believe, and he wanted to come in on the inside on the curb to take over me, so couldn't really see him because he was sort of in my blind spot technically, and I didn't knock him off the track, but according to Gran Turismo I did, and as you can see he's still behind me. He didn't crash or anything like that, so I copped that on the chin. iRacer GT here in quite the battle with two other cars. Another dirty driver coming up, as you'll see. iRacer nice and clean, avoiding the cars. 3 cars wide coming through the dash chicane, all successfully make it through there. But watch them again behind iRacer GT here as we come up to this challenging corner. He decides to knock iRacer pretty much out of the game at this point. I don't blame you, iRacer, for being frustrated at that, but yeah, uncalled for. Why? If you're coming in too hot on a corner, I myself veer away from the cars to crash on my own and not cause anybody else any harm. So anyway, he gets a 4-second penalty, which makes my 4-second penalty for a little nudge seem a little strong. Maybe he should have got 10 seconds for that ramming speed. But yeah, this is the current status of Gran Turismo's penalty system. I think most of us are all in agreement that this needs to be upgraded to something far more playable. Something similar to probably what Forza has done with their penalty system, although it hasn't brought the game back up to be competitive with Gran Turismo Sport. If GT Sport, if Polyphony or Polyphony or however you pronounce them, did something similar with their penalty system, it would make for a much better game for all of us players who like to play well, race well, drive well, and it will eradicate those who aren't as fast as they think they are because they use other cars to get around corners. With a better penalty system, that should get rid of those guys. You won't see them anymore, I imagine. They would get bored and find another arcade game. Need for Speed players, I call them. So again, I take this corner a little bit quicker than the guy in front, but watch what happens here. I get alongside him, and what's going... hello? Hello? Okay. Again, why? So I take this corner wide again, get on the accelerator early and catch up to him again. I think this is the same guy that I got a penalty from. He tried to dive into the corner on me, which kind of makes sense now looking at his name, Dive Bomber. Generally when I'm going up a straight and cars beside me, I don't try and veer them into the wall. That's the way I was brought up. But I guess some people have a different way of looking at things. Anyway, these two corners coming up, interesting. As you can see there, I'm not accelerating much at all. I'm not sure anyone else drives this, but it feels like you're going quite slow, but you're actually going pretty quick. And I was keeping up pace with this dive bomber guy. So heading up to the end of lap 7 here, thinking about pitting, but these hard tyres are going really well. I'm really happy with them. It is for this race the tyre that you have to use, but I really like them. I actually like them better than the mediums. I was getting faster times and the car just felt great. So I kept on for I think another lap. So skip another lap, and as we head up towards the pits here, I decide to go hards again. But I don't know, in my panic with the short amount of time I wanted to spend in the pits, I selected the mediums instead. Whoops. No penalty for it, because obviously the hards were the mandatory tyre, but I just don't like driving the mediums with this car. And so lap times weren't as good, struggled with the cornering. You would think it would be the opposite way around, but I don't know. There you go, hit the wall and struggle to keep this car on the track from here on in. Tempted to go back in the pit again, but I figured that would put me out of the top 10. So decided to stick it out to the end with these tyres as best I could. Skipping ahead to lap 10 here, I've caught up again to Mr. Dive Bomber. And look what's happened. He's got himself a penalty. What a shame. What a real shame. Well, you know, you win some, you lose some. That's just the way this cookie crumbles for the likes of these drivers. Well, drivers is a strong word. These gamers. So we soldier on, lap 11, heading towards the end, coming up to the death chicane yet again. The guy in front struggles with this one, to my benefit. So hits the wall, another one bites the dust. So up into 4th position with 4 laps to go. So behind me we have another interesting character, as you will see. He comes up to this corner right behind me, or not this one, coming at the bottom of the hill here. Does the old dive bomb to get in, but he's just not good enough for the Ferrari here. Cuts in early and tries to get ahead, but the Ferrari has a bit more power there. So as I take this corner, not great due to the medium tyres, he manages to catch up to me and get alongside me. I take it wide so that he can get past, as that's what I've been taught to do, good sportsmanship. But watch what this guy does. Okay, alright. You knew I was there. Just thought you'd try and cut me off again. Right. Interesting. Very interesting. And we arrive at the good old death chicane again. I kind of like the death chicane here in the reverse version of this track better. I find it easier myself. The other way around is still quite scary for me, whereas this one, I'm okay with it. We're good. Now I'm caught in a Mercedes sandwich with the guy in front who likes to nudge and dive bombers behind. Bozo up front, Bozo at the back. Bozo at front, Bozo at the back. Bozo at the front, Bozo at the back. You get the drill. So we skip to the last corner of the last lap. 5th position, I'm pretty happy with that. After all that went on through the race, I'll take a 5th. But as we cross the finish line, the guy who was in front gets a penalty. I assume it's the tyre penalty, but interesting whether he didn't change the tyres and abide by the rules, or did he encounter the tyre error, the fault with the current version of the game. I don't know. Either way, I'd say he's pretty upset right about now. But I'm happy to take 4th place. I'm not going to argue with that. I'm not going to complain. Seems fair to me. So that was the FIA races. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please subscribe if you want to see more videos, and we'll see you in the next one.